Okay, 5 minutes, but I'm probably going to go over. I'm feeling really frustrated because I just recorded about a 20-minute video about this topic that I'm going to share, which is my 3 tips for people who are new to a spinal cord injury, or my 3 tips for you if you just got a spinal cord injury, or 3 tips for people who want to know what my tips would be for somebody who just had an accident and has a spinal cord injury. Maybe you're paralyzed, maybe you're partially paralyzed by like me, and you just woke up in a hospital bed and you don't know what's going on and you don't know what to do, and not a lot of people know what to say or do to help you. I was frustrated because I recorded this 20-minute video already and then uploaded it to my computer to edit my post, and the audio didn't work. So sometimes I make the mistake of not checking to make sure my microphone's working, and then I have to do it again, and that's really annoying. Um, I always feel like I just don't want to do it again, but I'm just going to get it done. So this is my second go, and yeah, I was kind of playing with some different titles for this because, if you look up, if you search in YouTube, um, spinal cord injury start here, or new to spinal cord injury, there really isn't a lot of good anything. There are a lot of videos from rehab facilities, hospitals, that just kind of want to sell you on their services, which makes sense. But nothing really comes up that I think is really useful on a personal level. And so I just wanted to make a quick post, kind of a entry in my YouTube journal on this topic because, my experience with my spinal cord injury was one of just waking up in the hospital at some point months later being told that I have a spinal cord injury, but not really being told what that meant for my current situation, what that meant for my future. Almost just like nothing. I mean, I don't know if it's because I live in Taiwan and if it's the language barrier, because there is, but I don't know what it's like in the United States or in other places. Like, would the experience be different? Because here it was just like, I didn't know anything about what anything meant. And I didn't feel like anybody else did either, including the doctors. And so it was a bit tough. But, I went online and started Googling things and looking up YouTube. And it was difficult and a painful process. And there's a lot of stuff on there, a lot of junk, a lot of garbage that is just not useful at all. And, when you're in the kind of position that I was in, that a lot of people are in with a spinal cord injury after a traumatic accident, there's not a lot of people to talk to. Here for me in Taiwan, I know 0 people who have a spinal cord injury or paraplegia. None. I don't have anybody to talk to that can relate to my experience as I'm having it in an intimate way. And so when you have questions, there's nobody to ask. It's very frustrating. And, because 0 of my friends and family have had or are having this kind of experience, it's just really difficult to have conversations that feel relatable, that feel, to have conversations where I feel understood. So, anyways, there were at least 2 things that happened in my journey that were huge, that were amazing, that I feel should just be standard issue in the hospital when you have a spinal cord injury. Maybe in some places they are, definitely not in Taiwan, but um, there's a few things, and they're all connected. There's three things, but two are connected. The first thing that I would recommend anybody who has a spinal cord injury, is new to their spinal cord injury, does is go online and search for a book called Options by Barry Corbet. Get that book, download that book, read the book. Um, that had a big impact on my perspective and shifted my perspective in a really big way at a time when I was really down, really low, not seeing any possibilities or hope for the future. Um, that book. And I found that book by watching a documentary on Netflix called Full Circle. Full Circle is a documentary about a guy named Trevor who's a snowboarder. He has an accident, ends up paralyzed because of his spinal cord injury, and the documentary is just about his journey, and he gets back into snowboarding, and oh my god, he's just doing these amazing things like double backflips on a ski, um, being paralyzed. It's mind blowing and very inspirational. And, it was amazing that that movie came out right when I was in a really dark place. I mean, not like just sad, but, just not seeing any potential for my life in the future. Um, Having an accident like the one I've had with a spinal cord injury just feels completely devastating in a lot of different ways. Not just like my body, my mind, but like my actual life. And there was almost nobody that I could relate to on that level. It just really felt like, my house had burned down and everything that I owned and everything that I cherished was just gone. And it's hard to know where to go from there and how to rebuild. And so I was kind of there, and then this documentary called Full Circle was on Netflix, and I mean, even if you don't have a spinal cord injury, it's an amazing, inspiring journey to watch. So check that out. But that sort of opened up a door for me, a door of hope, I guess, because I thought, man, if this kid can be fully paralyzed, I'm only incomplete. I'm partially paralyzed. But if he can be fully paralyzed and then learn to ski and do double backflips, and he's doing like the most advanced. I mean, I grew up, not grew up, but I snowboarded a lot in high school. I snowboarded a lot. I was a decent snowboarder, and I couldn't do anything that this guy is doing, and he's paralyzed. So pretty mind blowing. But that movie, while it's about Trevor and his journey with his spinal cord injury, that movie also introduces Barry Corbet and the book Options. And it led me to that. And that was a bigger deal for me because, this book called Options, written by Barry Corbet in like the 70s, mid 70s, it's just amazing, and it's still super relevant because, he goes around and he talks to all these people that have had spinal cord injuries, and, you know, talks to them about what they've done with their lives. And it's just like really nice to read those stories because, a lot of these people have gone on to do amazing things, become doctors, lawyers, write books, become actors. I mean, just like people have just done anything, all sorts of things. And yet at the same time, the book kind of captures the journey of grief, the journey of devastation that they've also gone through, and helps acknowledge, the difficulty and the challenge and the real bummer, the fucking bummer of the whole thing, because, you know, part of my experience when I woke up in the hospital, doctors, nurses, friends, and families all feel very hyper positive for good reason. Like they want you to uh, think happy thoughts, be positive, but it feels very imposed for a long time. Like doctors and nurses, I can remember them just saying like, well, don't cry, don't be sad, smile, be happy. This whole thing constantly to. I think the intention is they want you to. They don't want you to get too dark, which I get, but just never felt like there was any space for like talking about and acknowledging what had actually happened, which was a lot of real loss, like actual loss, and a lot of real devastation. That part of the experience was very real too, and there was almost like nobody holding space for that. And Barry Corbet's book Options was the first time that I heard somebody else with a spinal cord injury like face that and talk about it and say like, yeah, something fucked up happened, something shitty happened, and it's real and it's hard, and you know it's going to be that way forever. But but you do have options, right? You can sit inside your room and cry all day and uh, you know be bummed out. You can do that, and you can also go back to school, become a lawyer, become a doctor, become a painter, whatever. Some of these people in there, that they become like pro athletes and like just like creating companies, or becoming millionaires, or all the fantasies, all the things that I might be impressed by or inspired by without having had an accident. Like all these people are able to do it as well. So for me at that time, it was like, oh, like just it was the thing that helped put things back into perspective for me and give me something to think about other than all the things that I had lost and all the shitty things. It it inspired me to rethink my situation a bit and rewrite a different story. Like, yes, okay, maybe my house did burn down and I've lost a lot and I'm starting from ground zero, but I can still create, I can still become, I can still do, I can still pursue, I can still learn, I can still do all those things. And that book was just so instrumental in that. So anybody with a spinal cord injury should read that book. Options by Barry Corbet. You can find it online for free. Watch the movie Full Circle. Even if you don't have a spinal cord injury, it's an amazing movie. And the third thing I was going to mention was just connecting with somebody else who does have a spinal cord injury, and that's been really hard for me. I just don't have any friends here. I really don't know anybody here locally that has a spinal cord injury. There are people. I just haven't really been able to make any connections. But I was able to connect with somebody online through Instagram. His name's Eric. He's at Wheelchair Boarding on Instagram. He makes wheelchairs out of 2x4s from Home Depot that are amazing, just to show that that's possible, that you can make wheelchairs out of like pieces of wood, 2x4s, and they're safe and durable and just as good as a fancy wheelchair. Pretty amazing. And having conversations with him helped in a lot of ways as well. Just having an outlet, somebody to talk to, was really big. And that was actually the hardest thing to find, and it still is, to be honest, because there are a lot of YouTubers, there are a lot of Instagrammers that are in wheelchairs talking about their journeys. They're perilous, making how-to videos, but those people are really hard to connect with on a personal level, I think, because, they tend to be, you know, they have a lot of followers and they probably get a lot of messages and a lot of people asking the same kind of questions over and over again, and they just can't connect with everybody. And I found that too, that a lot of people that I reached out to, it's just, you don't hear anything back from them because they're busy and they don't have time for you, which is the way it is. So that's probably the hardest thing. I mean, it still is, but I would say if you can just find like one person to connect with, that can be good enough. So that's it. What did I do? Almost 20 minutes again. The audio better work this time. Anyways, those are, I don't know what the title of this video is going to be, something catchy. 3 tips to getting started with spinal cord injury. Spinal cord injury get started guide. 3 things to do immediately when you find out you have a spinal cord injury. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Anyways, happy Tuesday.